So Kickstarter has become one of the cautionary tales for 2020, going from one of the most used platforms out there to a platform that has had site drop-off by almost 35%. Now, what's fascinating about this is how exactly this transpired. Because you know what? Some people are going to blame certain social situations, but I myself blame the fact that, well, we saw unionization come up. And the reasons behind the unionization, not the union themselves, are the reason that you're seeing people steer clear. I mean, after all, you may be banned off the site because you have some type of wrongthink, or you may have a project out there, one that encourages violence, and they may just unionize an entire company to keep it there. So hey there, so today we return to that wonderful world of Kickstarter coverage again. My, I didn't think we'd be back here. And before we begin, let me say this. I know that there are a lot of people hurting in this time of uncertainty. If you're one of those people, you can't find basic necessities. I'm talking canned goods, toilet paper, and on. Make sure you ask for help, and that includes myself. Now again, I cannot pay your rent. I can't give you direct money, but maybe I can help you out in some other way there, because you know what, from my family to yours, we're all in this together, and we appreciate you all. So Kickstarter has become a fascinating hive mind, wherein things like MS-13, they've become a marginalized group, and a comic book depicting them as villains needs to be banned. But books like you see in front of you, they not only need to be protected on this platform, but this was the catalyst for unionization within the company. This is quite literally the reason for unionization too, just to note that there. The start of the union organizing campaign at Kickstarter, which helps projects raise money, was tied to an international debate in 2018 about a comic book called Always Punch. You saw that word there. The site doesn't like it. On the company's website that received negative coverage from the right-wing outlet Breitbart News. So to give you some perspective on this, I figured we would look at this project for just a moment. It's a 44-page comic book anthology about our country's battle against ism. Now, what's funny about this thing is that it actually listed who you should punch at one time, and it was a specific type of voter out there. I'll leave that hanging in the suspenseful air, but you can imagine who it's okay to punch these days. So who wouldn't want to punch A? Everyone knows who the are, so you know who they are these days. More so, if you saw one, you would want to punch that right in the nose. Always Punch is the best thing to actually punching A. The 44-page anthology addresses blank-like ism that has been plaguing America for many years. The creators of Always Punch address rising issues in America and how to handle bigots who want to oppress various citizens. You will learn the most effective ways to punch a historical adventure about what happens when you continuously turn the other cheek, how fighting for what's right can be passed down through many generations, and many more fun tales about standing up for what is right. Now, in this project, too, you have a how-to punch guide. In this thing, it actually encourages people to go out and to punch somebody. Blanks should always be punched. As a rational human being, you understand this. Rational, isn't that a fascinating word choice? But do you know how to correctly throw a punch? Follow these easy steps to make the world a better and less hateful place. So you know, going out and utilizing violence, that makes you rational, and it's going to make the world a better and less hateful place. So first, you find somebody that you want to call A. Anybody that you want to call that, you point at them and say, you'll do. Then you need to learn how to make a fist here. They tell you a wonderful way to break your hand as well. You need to extend all 4 fingers, curl your fingers inward. Make sure your thumb lays across the top of your index and middle fingers, and then you need to attack somebody. So you need to square up here. You need to forcefully rotate your hips and torso as you extend your right arm. Give him or her the fist of reason. So you know you're utilizing reason in there. Then set back, admire your work in that, and then just keep trying to go to town, screaming, never stop. Now, employees, they said that it did not violate Kickstarter's policies, while management disagreed. And you know what management was saying in this? We could actually be sued because we leave this thing up, because we are endorsing something that is advocating for violence. Now, the comic itself, it was ultimately allowed to stay up, but the disagreement itself reportedly led to the creation of Kickstarter United a year later, which we're talking about the Union Company. Now, you might be wanting to feel sorry for Kickstarter in this, but I would say don't, because these are the types of mindsets they decided to actively recruit. And of course, this kind of stuff, it will tear your company apart from the inside. Here, for example, is the comic outreach lead at Kickstarter. Now, there was a heavy influx of this type of thinking in 2018, around the same time that book came up. Terrible coincidence, right? You can tell, too, from the interviews with these folks that they're going to bring the buzzword in. They talk about promoting empathy. They talk about promoting inclusion, promoting equality within storytelling. And what's amazing about that is what they say with that versus the reality of what those words mean to them. Now, this, I imagine, isn't just a post. I imagine this is what they filled out when they were saying, hey, I'd like that job. So last night's dream, my mom, me, and millions of people of color are marching in a field. We have to hurry, otherwise our oppressors will catch up. I wonder if you can guess what the oppressors look like. So, now we're marching through a graveyard, and hoofbeats start to rumble. We look back and see some stragglers running, screaming. White men on horses. Of course, white men on horses are mowing people down. My mom and I run, but lose each other in the chaos. I scream for her, and a man gets off his horse and hits me in the head with the back of a rifle. I'm fighting to stay conscious through the dizzying pain. I scream for her again, and I get hit hard in the head harder. I pass out and wake up in a Victorian boarding house. I ask for my mother. They ignore me. I ask for a book that either I or a friend had written. I can't remember which. They tell me that the book is banned and I can only read from a list of approved books. I wake up and realize the nightmare is real. Now that person will be one of the main catalysts for rejecting books like this in front of you. Kickstarter rejects injustice artist Mike S. Miller's Lone Star for discrimination, subjugation, and intolerance toward marginalized groups. Now the email here reads, "Thanks for sharing your project with us. We've carefully reviewed it against our rules and were unable to approve it for launch. As a public benefit corporation committed to fighting inequality and creating a more equitable world, Kickstarter does not allow discrimination, subjugation, or intolerance toward marginalized groups. We recommend you review our rules and list of prohibited items to learn more. This decision is non-negotiable. We appreciate your understanding." This is what they had a problem with, too. You see a quote-unquote person of color being terrorized by a gang here. Then you have Lone Star, a superhero, pop in, save that person, and you know what? That's terrible. So the always punch book, that's okay, because you always want to do that. But this is not okay. That's what Kickstarter has become. Now, the employee that we were talking about too, they would post stuff like this while working there. If you're a white creator and you're creating an all person of color cast, I don't know. I just feel like, whose voice are you taking away from? Are you doing right by them? Are you sure you're not characters from a flimsy Bennington ad? Just as people of color have to work harder to prove themselves to the mainstream, you have to work harder to prove yourself to us, you know. It goes two ways. To prove yourself to us, you know. And this person, again, is in a position of prominence wherein they can reject anything that you do. So like I said, 60% of the 140 people working at Kickstarter actually get to vote on whether or not there's going to be a union. This thing, it narrowly, and I mean narrowly, passes. And of course, during that, you have all types of complaints that are going to eat up revenue. They're going to get projects banned and on. Enter this downturn that we're having socially, and wouldn't you know it, the company is starting to fall apart already. So hi everyone, this is our new memo. I'd like to update you on the conversations we've all been having about how to keep Kickstarter well positioned as we navigate what's quickly become the worst economic downturn in a lifetime. As I share a couple weeks ago, and again during last week's All Hands, we've been looking at a number of possible scenarios. After great consideration, ongoing monitoring, and modeling of our outlook, and consultation with our board of directors, here's where we stand. As you know, although projects on the site continue to garner plenty of support from backers, we've seen many fewer projects launch on the platform over the last several weeks. The live project count is about 35% below where it was this time last year, with no clear sign of a rebound. As a result, our pledge volume and revenue are tracking sharply down as well. Setting the business up for future will require significant cost cutting. Kickstarter is a small business of 140 people with modest operating margins, and all of the approximate $1.27 million in after-tax profit we earned last year has already been invested back in the business during the first 4 months of the year. With that in mind, we've undertaken a number of measures, including reducing compensation for a number of senior leaders at the company, including myself and the board of directors, instituting a hiring cap and policy to not automatically fill positions when people leave in order to limit head count costs, and working to trim non-head count budgets wherever we can. Now, when you see stuff like that, when we're reducing compensation and we're reducing the pay that the main people get, yeah, that means some people are going to be let go. Now, the truth is, these measures aren't enough for us to continue to serve creators during this crisis and beyond. We must look more broadly at ways to restructure the business, including potential layoffs across teams and at all levels of staff. Earlier today, I reached out to the OPEIU to share more about where we are and to uphold our responsibility to negotiating next steps to involve members of the union. We expect to continue our discussions with the union over the next few days. In the meantime, please feel free to use our normal process and submit any questions you have for me here. The OPEIU reps are, of course, available to answer any question members have on the bargaining unit may have as well. The uncertainty of this moment is stressful, and I recognize you're each shouldering some part in that. We're going to navigate this thoughtfully and transparently to allay that the best we can. Kickstarter has an essential role to play for independent creators right now as a source of financial support, and the art, creativity, and innovation that they bring to life is essential to a healthy society, particularly during times like this. Many creators are also experiencing uncertainty and stress, so we're going to make sure Kickstarter is there for them, not just in the next few months, but also the years ahead. Thank you, and of course you have your signature. So yeah, you tell me, what exactly led to this falling apart? Was it all of this current social situation, or was it the fact that maybe banning people wholesale, making sure that you turn people away, that maybe did it too? You know, because people like myself, we go to Indiegogo, and when we go to Indiegogo, they don't treat us like this. In fact, they have wanted to go out and get our business. We brought them as a small creator, $110,000. We could have brought that to Kickstarter, but you know what? Kickstarter, they ban people wholesale. They treat people like garbage. Yeah, no thanks. No thanks indeed. But you tell me what you think about this. So to close, I want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating. You make these endeavors possible. Without you, this stuff doesn't work. So again, thank you. I don't want to monopolize your time saying that either, but I do want to thank you for it. And I want to say, you like this content, like the channel, consider subscribing to it, sharing videos and on. But you just being here matters as well. So again, thank you. I do appreciate you. And check out the next videos. Thanks.